and everybody who's watching us from the virtual platform. Honorable members, you are all welcome. I suggest that we quickly start with the Transkeian Penal Code, the report, which will be very quick, before we invite Judge Cameron, followed by Correctional Services. Will that be in order?
Mr. Chairperson, if I'm...
Judge Cameron?
Mr. Chairperson, if I may beg your and the committee's compassionate leave, I'm playing a significant part in the memorial service for the tragically deceased chairperson of the Stellenbosch University Council, which starts at 10:30. I mean, no disrespect to you, sir, or to the committee, and I apologize for the clash. We hope that we'd be able to manage it, and to my mind, we could still do so, given that we reporting only on an impending feasibility study.
No, our condolences to you and to the entire University of Stellenbosch. I think that will be in order, Judge Cameron. I think by that time we would long finished with your presentation.
Deepest gratitude.
Yes, please receive our condolences.
Thank you, sir.
Sia, can you flight the report? The report was circulated yesterday. It will be taken as read. Can you flight it?
Morning, Chair.
Yes.
Yes, we just formally adopt the bill, check. So we'll just fight the bill first, and then we adopt the report.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I'm saying we first just have to formally adopt the bill. It's
to the best of my knowledge, the bill was adopted, unless I am incorrect.
Okay, sorry.
Yes. The report of the Portfolio Committee on Justice and Correctional Services on the repeal of the Transkeian Penal Code B, 34 of 2022, National Assembly, Section 75, dated 17 February 2021. Is there a mover for the adoption of the report? Or maybe let's start with corrections. Are there any corrections on page 1? On page 2? Is there a mover for the adoption of the report?
I'll move, Chair.
Honorable Engelberg moves. Any seconder?
I second.
Honorable Leon Druchen, second.
Honorable Leon Druchen seconds. Any objections? No objection. The report has been agreed to. Members, do you prefer a report or declarations on this bill? Because we all agree with the repeal.
Please, only declarations, Chair.
Declarations, any objections to that?
Declaration, Chair.
Thank you very much. No objections. Most probably the bill will be debated in the House next week or a week thereafter, because we must observe the 3-day rule. So it might be on Thursday or the week thereafter. Thank you very much, members, for working together to repeal this bill, which was an anomaly in our system where we have 2 laws. In fact, one law governing a part of our country, a criminal law governing Transkei, and the rest of South Africa being governed by the common law. So this adoption will finally deal with that so that we can have one law governing the whole of the Republic. I think Judge Cameron will be very pleased with that. Thank you very much. Now let's come to the feasibility of the bail fund that will be presented by JICS. that is led by Judge Cameron. Judge Cameron, we had a workshop where you presented this matter. We thought that that workshop was not a talk show, so we must keep tabs as to the progress that is being made to ensure that something is being done. So that is why we asked for this short briefing as to what is being done to ensure that the idea that was muted on that in that particular workshop is being worked on.
Many thanks indeed, Mr. Chair. And may I also say that Deputy Minister Nkosi Holomisa has taken a great interest in this. He called for all the documents. He had a long conversation with me where he raised salient points, which I expect the committee also to be interested in. Right now, sir, all that we are doing is to have a feasibility study, as we indicated at our meeting at the end of November, December. So I'm going to go through the slides we provided the committee as requested late on Wednesday or early on Thursday with the overview, which is a 2-page overview, which the committee has, and then a few slides. So thank you, Mr. Chair. JICS conceived the bail funds, not thoughtlessly aping bail funds elsewhere. Members of the committee may be interested that there is some controversy about bail funds in the United States. Deputy Minister Holomisa raised some of those issues with me in our conversation. Very interestingly, we hope to take what is good from the North American bail funds and to be able to evade the potential difficulties. Mr. Chair, sir, members, honourable members, the fundamental premise is that it is wicked and wrong for a system of administration of justice to free those who have the money to pay bail, whereas those who simply from poverty cannot pay bail remain in what we all know, sadly, are very adverse conditions in remand centres in our country. And in our reports at JICS, we've used a slightly emotional term, rightly so. We've called them prisoners of poverty. So JICS thought that we might be able to do something constructive about this. Mr. Chair, as I say, it might be, and I will emphasize in due course and emphasize again that the people doing the feasibility study are going to come to you, they're going to come to your deputy, they're going to come to all the members of the committee, invite them to make submissions. They're going to go to the ministry and other organizations like NPA as well. So if we can proceed to yes, I see the slide is there. We are worried about the high numbers of remand detainees. Mr. Chair, 150,000, I told the committee this last year, we have got the highest number of people incarcerated on the whole continent. And the one example I'd like to give, Malawi, 18 million people, 15,000 people incarcerated. You'd expect South Africa proportionately to have around about 45,000 prisoners, instead of which we've got 330% times that number. So very high numbers, and 1/5, 50,000 of our 150,000 detainees are awaiting trial. Long awaiting trial periods. There is a provision in the statute, Mr. Chair, that says that you can only keep people awaiting trial 2 years, and then the magistrate has got to give a special order. But we find that there are still significant numbers of people who are staying for more than 2 years, sometimes even up to 5 or more years. Then let's focus for the moment on the most heartbreaking issue, Mr. Chair, honourable members. As we sit here now, 1,884 remand detainees whom JICS has been able to identify. These are the reports that we have got. Ms. Sabuta, who's our executive for the regions, Ms. Ngema, who's our legal executive, they get reports from our prison monitors. Some prisons only have part-time monitors. We haven't got reports from all of them, but let us say at least 2,000 across our country have been granted bail of under 1,000 rand, and they cannot pay it. So, as I've emphasized, Honorable Chair, this is only a feasibility study. We raised from a donor of impeccable commitment to our country and to its transition, non-partisan commitment to our transition. Mr. Tony Tabatsnik's Bertha Foundation. He's a South African with a deep commitment to our democracy. He gave us 650,000 to do the feasibility study, and it's being undertaken right now in its incipient stages by the Bertha Institute at UCT. And as I've said, Mr. Chair, this committee will be keenly consulted because, as I learned from Deputy Minister Olumisa in the last 2 days, people have got vivid insights, vivid suggestions, vivid reservations, and all of those, there's nothing that we're not going to take into account. So why can people stay in remand detention while being given bail? It means that the magistrate has made a judicial assessment that they will stand trial, not a danger to the public, they will not commit further offences, they will not threaten state witnesses, and they have a fixed address. It's simply poverty. They are prisoners of poverty. And then to revert to the practicalities, Honourable Chair, the feasibility study is going to explore all of them. So if committee members have reservations, we welcome them. If committee members have, well, for example, one question that the Deputy Minister asked me the other evening was, I can't remember the phrase he used, but if you take bail from the family of the remandee, or from the remandee her or himself, he's got an investment in pitching up for the trial. What will happen if someone else pays the bail? Well, that's a good question, and we'll have to devise conditions. So there are other good questions. Who will benefit? Should we limit the offences for which we will? A lot of those under 1,000 might be gender-based violence or domestic violence. Do we draw a circle around that? What limit should we be? 1,000 rand, 5,000 rand, 10,000 rand? And then how do we ensure repayment of the funds, that the bail apparatus in the magistrates' courts pays back to the bail fund and not to the beneficiary? And then what administration, Mr. Chair, the committee well knows we don't want to reduplicate cumbersome bureaucracies in our country. We want slim bureaucracies that deliver. And we'll have to keep a very wary eye out how much we're going to spend on people's salaries rather than on bail funds. And then we're thinking, but we'll ask the committee and the NPA and the police and the magistrates and the judiciary, should we have a small pilot project, and where should that pilot project be? Mr. Chair, if I may conclude, this is an unusual response conceived in the United States, which we, as I've said, are going to adapt to our idiosyncratic conditions in South Africa. But underlying the problem is the sort of structural problem that we discussed with the committee and that we hope to discuss with broader stakeholders in due course. What we need are sustainable structural solutions to the problems, not just of cash bail, but of overcrowding of our prisons. And we are resolved that we will keep you fully updated with every step of the way. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Deputy Minister Patigilon, sir, and the members.
No, thank you very much, Judge Cameron. At this time, let's welcome the chair of the subcommittee. He started at the meeting that prepares for the Section 194 committee. Honorable Janji has joined us. I think they are now done. Honorable Janji, welcome, and you can take over from here. Honorable Janji. I think there might be a network problem. No, thank you very much, Judge Cameron, for the presentation. Members, are there any questions or comments? Honorable Nevo Truchen, followed by Honorable Maseko Jele, Honorable Stephen Swart, in that order.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and good morning to everyone, and Justice Cameron, and morning to everyone on the platform. I have a couple of questions just for my interest. I'd like to know how many countries have already got this kind of bail fund, any others that you have identified? And then, like you said, you'll still decide, from the feasibility study, who can get funding from this bail fund. And with that, will you be looking at the family's income, or will you look at the person who's requesting, the payment from his individual income? This fund, should obviously go to the poorest of the poor who is not able to afford bail. So, who will look at what? Will you be looking at whether the family can afford it or not, and how will that work? Then I'd like to know, if we do end up having this kind of fund, who will be administering the fund? Would it be JICS, or is it another agency? Those are my questions. Thank you, Chair. And if the Secretariat can unpin me, please.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nevo Truchen. Honorable Maseko Jele.
Thank you very much, Chair. Can I request that I close my video? I still have not sorted the issue of background properly. Yes, Chair. Thank you very much, and good morning, colleagues, and also good morning, Judge Cameron and the team. Chair, let me just thank Judge Cameron for this good idea, that it is very positive. And as we indicated last time in our workshop, that this is a very good view that can be taken further as we are doing it now, Chair. But yes, I think Honorable Verma has covered me with some questions, but I would like to emphasize, because on Judge, on his presentation, he did indicate that they are still going to check in terms of who must be given this bail. Among those people, Chair, that I think he also indicated the perpetrators, like families, in terms of consultation. But I wanted to find out, maybe because the study, when they undergo that study, Chair, the issues of those families, because we have two types of families here. There are those who would want, yes, to be assisted, that their families, those perpetrators, maybe they might get that help of that bail funding. But there are those who sometimes would feel like, no, we don't want that person. We are really not, we don't want that person, because we feel that he is really dangerous to us and to the community themselves. And also those perpetrators of GBV, Chair, there've been a call that women saying, we don't want these people to get bail, but because of our laws, it is difficult for the courts to manage that, because it is their rights to get the bail. But now, in terms of this, I would like to see if maybe have they considered are they going to approach this one of the GBV chairperson. And also, I would want to find out how are they going to deal with the issue of the foreigners. Are they also accommodated in this, are going to be accommodated in this category also? And lastly, Chair, it is the issue of the time frame. Maybe have they thought about the time frame of this feasibility so that we know exactly when are we going to get this full presentation? Since we view this as a very important idea, that we feel that it will also assist us in easing the overcrowding in our facilities. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Jale. Honorable Swart.
Good morning, Chair. Morning, Judge Cameron. Thank you for your brief presentation. And yes, I think we all are in agreement with you sharing concerns about overcrowding in prisons, particularly when it comes to remand detainees, many of whom could well be not guilty, found not guilty at some stage. So I think we welcome the initiative. Obviously, there are controversial aspects, and I think my colleagues have raised some of those aspects. But I think when you look at the stats that you gave at the beginning, 2,000 possible remand detainees where bail is set at less than R1,000. I think that is something that we've always been concerned about. I've been concerned about. And obviously, when you consider what it costs per remand detainee per day, it's far in excess of that over the period that you have. And I think that is a very, very important consideration, what it costs to the state, not only financially, but in terms of overcrowding as well. I appreciate what the Deputy Minister has indicated, the importance of a financial bail commitment to ensure the remand detainee arrives at trial. I think that is a very important consideration. So one's going to have to, as we appreciate this is the beginning of a process, that all these factors will have to be taken into consideration. And of course, from my perspective as well, the existing legislative provisions that, in my view, and I'm sure you'll agree, aren't being properly used to reduce the number of remand detainees. I think that's an important aspect as well, considering this. Why aren't the existing provisions being used where one can go back to the magistrate, or there are various provisions in the Criminal Procedure Act? But from our perspective, we welcome this beginning of this process, particularly given, as you emphasized, that the targets focus that you're looking at are those remand detainees that are not a danger to society, but are in fact prisoners of poverty and costing the state far more to keep them in remand. So thank you. That's just some comments from my side. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you very much, Honorable Swart. Over to you, Judge Cameron.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. And may I just thank Mr. Swart, Honourable Mr. Swart, for his comments. And just to spice it up, when we last visited the remand detention centre at Johannesburg Prison, also known as Sun City, we were told by the acting head of that centre that it costs 10,000 Rand per inmate per month to keep someone in, 330 Rand a day. That was his estimate. I'm not quite sure how he got to it, but it is a shocking cost upon our public state and upon the budget of the DCS. May I thank your honourable members, Mr. Chair, for their questions. I want to start with Ms. Neo-Drucken. It's a very good question. She asked, what other jurisdictions? In all the jurisdictions, the bail fund is run on a semi-private basis. Here, as you know, it has been sponsored and flighted by JICS, but of course it will be a private institution of some sort. That's why we worry that there mustn't be too much money spent on admin, but I don't think it will or should be JICS or Human Rights Commission or any other state institution. All of our state institutions are overburdened. But you ask a very interesting question, Ms. Druchen. There are many states in the United States that have bail funds. Many states have abolished cash bail because they say it is a wicked imposition where the rich get out and the poor don't. So I think the committee is fully aware of that. And there's intense contention within the state. Some of the young man in San Francisco who served as my law clerk during his Yale law degree, Chezebudin, was a very progressive district attorney of San Francisco. He was recalled disastrously in the last 6 months of last year, and he abolished cash bail. I haven't checked whether his successor has reinstated cash bail, but just to say that Ms. Neo-Drichen's question was very, very good. And then, of course, Ms. Maseko Jele raises an important question which ties in with Ms. Neo-Drichen's question about family income. It is true, Mr. Chair, that some families don't want, they say, no, don't use my address. We don't want him back. He steals our money for drugs, and it is almost always a he. So those are the human issues that we'll have to negotiate, and we can't anticipate the answers, but there's no doubt that even at the bail hearing, they say, no, don't use the family address as a fixed address. We refuse. We'd rather that he stay inside. So the committee is well up on the tragic questions that are raised. As for non-nationals, Ms. Maseko Jele, jy vra my vas, as they say in Afrikaans. I hadn't prepared for that question. And I suppose it would depend on what their state, on what their cross-border migrancy status is. Do they have refugee status? Have they applied for it? Have they got permanent residence? But jy vra my vas, Ms. Jele, I can't really answer that. Time frame, we are concentrating on that. The question of gender-based violence, I just floated that because I personally will tell the feasibility study that I think we should cut out of the consideration those who are accused of that. There might be other people who think differently, but we'll see how, and we'll bring it back to this committee before we proceed. And then I think I've answered Ms. Neo-Drichen's question about who's going to administer. And we are very conscious of focusing this on the poorest of the poor. And I want to thank Mr. Swart again for his generous affirmation of the fundamental idea without commending every single detail at this stage. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
No, thank you very much, Justice Cameron. We think it's a very important initiative because at the core of it, it clearly indicates or tries to grapple with the issue of the problems of inequality in as far as access to justice is concerned. So it's an initiative that we think it must get everybody talking and contributing in enhancing it. You have started this process. We are supporting it. We hope that other role players will also lay a hand to ensure that it is a success. It's not only a process that is going to ensure that poor people do not stay in jail because they cannot afford bail, but also it will deal with the issue of state expenditure that might not be necessary. Because I would also ask the National Commissioner if they can, through the capacity that they have, just assist with the information as to how much does a state pay each prisoner or a remand detainee a day or a month, so that everybody gets the national picture. And from that national picture, we can be able to say how much are we really paying, which we should we could find better ways of managing it down and use that money to deal with other issues that affect our society in a much more productive way than keeping sometimes people who are not supposed to be in jail, sustaining them with such sums of money. So it's an issue that I think is an innovative mechanism that whose time has arrived. So it would be important that maybe Judge Cameron, you tell us exactly when are you going to come back, just to give us progress report. We're not saying that by that time you would be finished, but progress report, so that we are able to, if we are not done by the end of our term, we are able to write a report, a handover report that would be saying to the next committee, these are the areas that they need to support this initiative on.
Mr. Chair, perhaps we can undertake to give a report back before the June recess kicks in, the parliamentary recess. There'll be quite a bit to indicate with our collaborators at the Bertha Institute to inform you, but perhaps we can arrange it with your personnel at the time that you and your committee think would be most apposite for us to come back. We're very happy to do that.
No, thank you very much, Judge Cameron. I think you would be in time to attend to your next engagement.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, members of the committee.
Thank you very much. Let me now invite the National Commissioner on E-Corrections. First, let me check with the chair, Honorable Janji. Okay, let's proceed. National Commissioner, over to you.
I'm here. You wanted to check something?
Oh, I was saying that welcome, and you can proceed from here.
I think I'm well led, so I will be here in support of you chairing us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Janji. National Commissioner. National Commissioner? Committee Secretary, can you contact them?
It's funny, they are here, even Katenga and them, so I don't know why they are quiet. They thought you'll finish late.
I think so. I think there might be connection problems today.
Good morning, Chairperson and honorable members. Joseph Katenga here, CDC Strategic Management. We are in different locations. I am just trying to check with the Office of the National Commissioner as to what the connectivity challenge may be. But would like to apologize for the inconvenience. If I may be allowed just to follow up on that. Thank you, Chairperson and members.
Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. We are in the boardroom in the department. Yes, we are on the system, but we had an audio problem that we did not anticipate. So we are now utilizing another connection. Am I audible, Honorable Chairperson?
You are audible, but we can't hear you.
see me. We have just switched on the video.
Yes, we can see your arms, not you.
Chair,
Mamujele?
ubaba uZikalala uyazwakala mara he sounds very far. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if maybe he's on that tree of Mr. Honorable Xola. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
Committee Secretary, can you give them 3 minutes to sort everything out, then we come back at 10:10. Can we have a comfort break until 10:10 and let them sort their issues?
on Zigara's laptop. Is our voice clear now?
Your voice is clear.
Thank you.
Maybe let's proceed with the voice, and, because I think there's a problem with your video.
Honorable Chairperson,
Yes, we can see and hear you now.
I hope it is still a good morning with all the glitches that we've just experienced.
Yes.
Our apologies. We had our IT team in the boardroom in the morning to test everything with the Secretariat, and I was given the assurance that is all systems go. Greetings, Honorable Chairperson, and greetings to honorable members of the committee. Today we are appearing before the committee to present on the rollout and implementation of the e-correction system. We will be focusing on the JICS mandatory reporting capability that we have built into the system and we are providing as a service to JICS. The presentation will be made by the Chief Deputy Commissioner responsible for ICT. The other title in government is called JITO. It's Mr. Evans Maponya is the one who's going to make this brief presentation. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members. Good morning. I think the National Commission has already briefed us with the purpose of this. It's just to update the portfolio committee on the automation of JICS mandatory reporting by the heads of correctional centers. So this system was developed, and then it started being utilized since 2018, and it has been rolled out to a number of correctional services within the department. So as to notify, to record the number of the mandatory reports that the JICS that we need to report. This has been rolled out to the number of correctional facilities and are actively using it. We move on to the next slide. Slide number 3 on the background. We are going to report. We report on the death of an inmate. This is as per section 15 of the Correctional Services Act, and we also report on segregation of inmates, the use of mechanical restraints, and the use of force. So all these 4 reports are defined as mandatory reports. Go to slide number 4. So I've already said the system has been launched in 2018, and it has been rolled out to approximately 119 remand detention facilities across all regions of the department. And the system is also developed on the e-corrections platform, which hosts many other systems that the department uses, like offender cache, bed-space determination systems. And it is internally developed by our DCS staff, and therefore there is no financial implications on this. So as of today, we have approximately around 542 active users that have been registered on this system. And these are the users that capture the information that is being used for reporting. And as DCS management, we encourage all our regions to register users and use the system effectively. And this has been
we've seen significant improvement. I think from January 2022, the number of caseloads that were registered on this system has increased from 2 to 1,107. If we go to slide number 5, just shows a high level process of how this system works. So the head of correctional center would then capture the inmate complaints, natural death, mechanical restraints, segregation, and the use of force. And they'll all capture this in the mandatory JICS reporting system. And then the system will then automatically create a reference number on the JICS case management system, where the JICS regional offices must then acknowledge the report created by the head of correctional centers and then create follow-ups and for effective investigations. So in addition to that, as the case progresses, they can then update and capture, upload additional documents as per case up until the case has been closed. So if we go to slide number 6, we're just going to show the number of registered users per correctional facility or remand detention, correctional center or remand detention facility. So we've seen that in Eastern Cape, we've got 45 correctional centers with about 30 active users. Free State, 48 active users, they will got about 49, 26. So all in total, we've got about 243 sites, correctional centers, and the system has got just about 573 active users. These are users that are actively using the system, and the table below shows the breakdown per region. If you can look there, the numbers are quite clear. 2 in King Williamstown, going down to St. Albans with 10 active users there onto the system. The next slide also shows a similar breakdown on the, but it goes to Gauteng, and it shows Gauteng and KZN region. And slide number 8 as well shows the similar breakdown for the Limpopo Northwest and the Western Cape region. And if we go to slide number 9, we show that shows the utilization caseload. So how effectively has the system being used? One would notice that from 2018 until to date, we have just over 1,696 cases that were loaded there. But if we look at the mathematics, if we go to slide number 10, the number of caseload, the utilization, we calculated just the utilization from January 2022. We have seen that there's a significant increase in the utilization. So from 2018 till December 2021, the system was only 590 cases were captured there. But 2022, there's been significant ramp up in the utilization of the system. So what we will continue to encourage management areas and correctional facilities to capture and register users here on the system to use the system so that we can get an accurate reporting. I think what is important again to bring to the attention, Chair, is cases they remain open because from the side of JICS, the cases are not being closed on that side, but this is something that we're waiting on. I think that would be the end of the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Members, are there any questions or comments? Honorable Engelbrecht.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just want to know when will this system be rolled out to all correctional services facilities, and in terms of the capturing of data on any electronic system is as good as the information being fed into it. I understand that this will be massively assisting the department in terms of its reporting to JICS, and I see the uses of this, but then the access to the system, who will be responsible? Because you can't give access to this system just to everyone and anyone. There needs to be a very clear determination as to who operates the system, who not, so that the correctness of information of the data is not corrupted, because then this whole platform becomes useless. Because I can see that this would be very advantageous to us as well, to get statistics and to see progress or a decline or whatever the case may be. But the figures that stated there for all the provinces at this stage is obviously not representative of what's going on, because it does not capture everything. So if we can get an indication as to when we could expect that this will be rolled out to all the centers, and then obviously also coupled with that, to have people that operate the system to have the training and ability to operate the system correctly, so that we don't corrupt information that's in there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Engelbrecht. Honorable Niveau Trojan.
Thank you very much, Chair. And thank you to the National Commissioner for the presentation. Honorable Engelbrecht has covered me partly. However, in terms of, well, I'd like to understand the numbers. I think it's slide 4. It says 119, 119, but out of how many? Say out of how many remand detention facilities. So it just says 119, but it doesn't indicate out of how much. And then it says 542 active users, but I mean, how many users would you want? Or so in terms of the numbers, I didn't capture that quite correctly. And yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Niveau Trojan. Honorable Jale.
Thank you very much, Chair. My question is not basically on this, Chair, but is still on the issues of the systems. I'm not sure if maybe can we request that the department do their own research in terms of the systems that are not working within the department, because last time when I went to Bosbeck, Chair, there's a lot of these systems that are not working. The cameras are not working. Some the machines. The report that we receive is that there are other machines that they are not working and are very expensive, that are supposed to be assisting our systems in relation into the very same systems. They are not working and nobody is able to function those systems and all that. So it is my request as Chair, if maybe we can get a presentation as to what is working and what is not working in relation to the security systems that, and also the IT systems that we have within our facilities in the correctional services. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Jele. I think in addition to your question, Honorable Jele, how does this fit into the integrated inmate management system?
Thank you, Chair.
National Commissioner?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members. I am going to start off with answering one question, and I will then request our GICS to then provide answers to the remaining questions. We have 123 facilities that accommodate remand detainees. Out of the 123, 103 are mixed, which means that in those correctional facilities, we have units that are dedicated to remand detainees, and other units are dedicated to sentenced offenders. But out of that 123, as I indicated, 103 is mixed. The 20 is specific facilities that are dedicated for housing, accommodating remand detainees. They are not mixed. In terms of the rollout, the program plan indicates that by end of September, we have covered all the 123. There's only a few that is remaining because already the system is working in 119. In terms of access to the system, we have case management administrators, and they are trained on how to utilize the system. They are users, and we have the heads of correctional facilities who then have the authority to authenticate the information and give assurance that the information that is put or fed into the system is information that reflects what is obtaining. Those are the questions that I would answer, Honorable Chairperson, and I would request through you, Honorable Chairperson, that Mr. Maboya proceeds to answer the rest. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair. There was a question about the 119. So the DCS has got 243 correctional facilities. So the 119 is the 119 of the 243. Yes, centers. And then in terms of the number of users, like the National Commissioner has indicated, the target of the users is the user registration on the system is solely at the discretion of the head of the correctional center. And then there's a question on how does this fit into the AJS. This particular system would then integrate with all the IJS, and then we use this as a reporting tool to report on, to produce reports that is required by the department and our external stakeholders. Thank you, Chair.
I think Honorable Jele's questions has not been answered.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Is the National Commissioner again? Yes, the question on the department doing a research on the systems that are not working and those that are working. We have information. For instance, when it comes to the security systems, we have actually started a process of rolling out a program to revive all the integrated security systems components that we have in our correctional facilities. We can provide the portfolio committee with such a report. We have components that exist that have been commissioned years ago. That includes cameras. In most of the facilities, they were not working, but as I'm indicating now, we are rolling out the program to revive all of them, and we can provide progress and also provide the plan. Our indication is that by June, we should be having all the integrated security systems in facilities that have been fitted with this working. So that's what we're working towards. And as I've indicated, we can provide a report as to how far we are. And with regards to other IT systems, we also have got a report, and the process that we are undertaking at the moment is to ensure that we integrate these systems so that the information flows properly, but at the same time, it is information that is consistent throughout. We did appear before the committee previously to report on the on IMS, and at the moment the matter is between CETA and the department. We have been advised by the legal services that we should write to CETA through the minister to request that CETA provides us with the permission to revive the contract and revive the IMS rollout program. So the letter has been prepared for the minister to sign to the minister responsible for CETA. Once that is done, then we will be able to put together a project execution plan, and we will now at least have a bit of certainty with regards to by when will we be able to get IMS off the ground, or what then becomes the alternative as we will then be advised by CETA. With that, Honorable Chairperson, one will then pause here on the answers. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable Maseko Chela, followed by Honorable Nubot Rohan.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I will request that the Commissioner, let's just be honest on this matter. We want an honest answer. Chair, when it comes to, we might be having all these systems and you're working on them, Commissioner. But my follow-up question, Chair, do we have people who are able to the capacity, the people who are able to work on these systems daily, who have a know-how as to how is this thing working, Chair? Because I'm saying this, Chair, the report I got also is that there are these machines that are there that we bought that are nice and can assist us, but nobody knows how to operate those systems. And if there is something like that, Chair, can the department work on that? Let's get people, IT people who have a know-how of these things, because we procure these things, Chair. Sometimes the department is expected to have people who are able to operate these systems, Chair, daily. Do we have those people? Because it looks like, Chair, there is a gap somewhere there. So we are not criticizing the department. We are saying, is there something like that? And that thing must be attended to, Chair, because it is no use for us to get these systems and have them there without operating daily as the intention. Chair, my request is that can we get, because it's Chairperson, the reason is that, another reason that maybe I must bring forward is that it is not a secret that these things, these systems are they need these young people, IT people who knows exactly how to work with these things, because we might say the machine is not working, the system is not working, only to find that this person who's been given a responsibility to work with this system is not having a knowledge in terms of that. Do we have that kind of a challenge that maybe we need to attend to? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chele. Honorable Nivo.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to make a follow-up. On slide 5, I have that in front of me, but I'm still not very clear on, how the system really works. I want to know when the correctional center, the person uploads the data on the system, does that information automatically go to JICS, to the JICS system? I want to know how do they get the information, the software. Sorry, just clarification. Does JICS have the software in their system so that they can see the newly updated information or data that is stored by the correctional centers? Do they have access to these systems? How do those systems work, as explained on slide 5? Thank you, Chair. And please unpin Honourable Neodruchen.
National Commissioner.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. In answering the question asked by Honorable Chair, yes, we do not have that capacity in the department. It was not built before. The department was relying on IT consultants or security companies that were contracted to install, commission, and also do day-to-day maintenance and operation of the systems. Now, we are addressing that problem. That's why in the facilities that we are activating now, the ones that I said we are reviving the systems on, we are making a provision for 2 artisans on the technical side, artisans that would have skills in electronics or mechanics, or a combination of both, electromechanic, and that's a program that we are utilizing to put young people those skills. We are attaching these young people to the contractors that are on site for 3 years, and after the 3 years, we would then have made provision in the organizational structure of the department to absorb this skill. So that's the part that we are doing on the side, on the technical side. On the IT side, in the recruitment that we are doing now for 3,000 learnerships or entry recruitment, we have made provision also for young people that have got IT qualifications. We also have an internship program. In the internship program, we have made provision for a quota of 60 IT young people with IT skills to also be brought on board with the internship. As I've indicated, what it would need on the side of the organizational structure or the organizational establishment is that we should then provide for those positions to be created, and we will be able to do that because we have finalized the process of the macro organizational structure. It is now with DPSA. We have cleared our budget also with National Treasury. So when we now deal with the micro organizational structure, we then make provision for those posts in the establishment. It is something that will take some time, but we are starting to make it a point that we address it. Now, the machines that are there in the correctional facilities, they are X-ray machines, they are body scanners. Of course, we've got cameras. We also have control rooms. Now, in the past, the X-ray machines and the body scanners were not integrated with the whole security system. What I mean is that when you get into the control room, you would not be able to see if a body scanner is not working or if a body scanner is working. So now, as we revive these systems, we are linking the body scanners and the X-ray machines to the control rooms so that if one of the machines goes off, those that are in the control rooms can be able to see that, and we are then able to get the machines up and running. I must just indicate that, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members, that there's also an issue of human interference. Some of the machines where our officials will report them not working, you find that they just disconnected from power. And it's because these machines are assisting us to stop contrabands that are brought in by our members, but also by offenders that we have come from attending their cases from court, and also visitors that visit offenders on day visits, days that we allocate. So these machines are sabotaged to some extent, and that's why we are now linking them to the control room, so that if a machine goes off, at least we can see from the control room that the machine is not working. We have, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members, a presentation readily available that we actually took the Minister and the Deputy Minister through in the month of January. We can provide that presentation to the committee today, and will be available in the next meetings to present in full on what we are doing with the situation of our integrated security systems. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Are there any further comments or questions?
Honorable Neodruchan's question was not responded to.
Which one, Honorable Neodruchan?
If the system, when the data is uploaded, is the data made available to JICS to get?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I think we'll go to slide number 5. We will, it just shows the flow of information there. At the top, the head of correctional center, the capture complaints on unnatural deaths, mechanical restraint, segregation and the use of force. And they capture that onto the JICS mandatory reporting system. That then goes automatically sends a notification to the JICS case management system. So all of these things are web-based. So JICS also have what users there on the system that they can then acknowledge. If you look at it on the diagram again, say JICS regional office, then acknowledge the report by the head of correctional centers onto the system. So these two systems, JICS, DCS and JICS has got access to this system. And then they can see this process to completion. Thank you.
Thank you. I must say, honorable members, maybe we might need to have a meeting which we will apply to the speaker to be a closed meeting, because I am really not sure about the detailed security features, because the Department of Correctional Services is a highly securitized environment. And I also do understand that some of those things can't be, it would not be good for those, some of them to be broadcast live. But in the spirit of our constitution and openness of our committees, if we want to close a meeting, we must have a written permission from the speaker. Maybe it would be important at some point to say you have all of these IT systems in the department. Some are working and some are not working. The National Commissioner has talked about interference and all of those things, which are serious security breaches. Sometimes we might need to go into detail about the security of the whole environment, and just to protect also the institution, especially on the detailed security parts. Maybe we must think about it, of having a closed meeting where we'll go into much deeper detail on the security and integrity of some of these processes. Honorable Chair, Honorable Janji.
No, Chair, I want to agree and support your intervention and suggestion. I think we must work towards that. Linked to that, I wanted to also suggest that such a closed meeting could be better done with one of the examples they have shared as a pilot. So we're not on virtual, we go to that site. Yeah. Because these systems are better understood, not just theoretically. You better understand them when you are practical about them. You ask questions, you're on site, you see this, it's not explained through a presentation. It's better that way. And so we might have to agree as a follow-up to this. It doesn't have to be all over the place. We can identify one site. That amongst the site they have shared here, we go there and we deal with these issues, because the correctional services, I think Honorable Jailer raised that. One of the things it's known for is the introduction of these systems that have been an Achilles heels for the department. You see that in stats, you see that in the expenditures, where a lot of under expenditure and environments are as a result of the system not working. And so you have to have the money rolled over. And so one of the things that when we get to that they need to prepare is, it's one thing to introduce a system, but it's another if you don't take lessons from your previous experiences into that system. It will be important that part of the slides is for them to indicate to us, these are lessons we've learned to the system we're known for, which is non-functional throughout. And as we introduce this, we're taking forward these lessons in this particular way, so that we don't just introduce a new system for the sake of doing that. And I'm aware all of that would have happened not under the current commission. So if he's opening a new chapter under his leadership, we would want to understand that quite properly. But we have seen this before, so want to see what is being introduced. Having been in all of these sites ourselves, seen this, how different this is, how it is going to assist us in many of the challenges that we have. I just wanted to make that addition. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Janchi. I think it's a way forward. I think we should conclude this meeting on that particular note. And I would ask that members of the committee remain behind for 2 minutes as other people are exiting. Thank you very much, National Commissioner, and to your team and everybody on the virtual platform. Can I have members of the Portfolio Committee remaining behind for 2 minutes?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members.